Does Lewis have access to a potential Fuulos, a potential Perulia maybe? Let's find out.
Anything on the draw? No, you're good.
Nope.
Do we have anything on draw phase?
Starting up with extra, that's right. The extra deck is pretty much not important for a Floowandereeze player unless they don't plan on using any of their Floowandereeze effects.
Exactly. You can see a little smile on Lewis's face saying, "Oh, this is interesting. We're not worrying about our extra deck. What could this be?"
Gonna go and get that powerful draw 2 at the start of the main phase.
Now we get to see which bird comes down first for a little landing.
Usually you want to start with something like M-Pen or Rabina just to get into the rest of your archetype. There we see the the Eaglin coming down.
Infinite permanent, so we're not getting the additional normal summon or the search there.
Pretty big, actually. One of the most powerful interaction points for this deck is going to be their additional normal summons.
Oh, and that's a pass. Eaglin flying solo today.
The bird is now grounded.
All right, but play has passed over to Lewis. He draws for turn. Looks like he's going to start off with Fire King, Courtier, Volcanics.
The brand new inclusion from Major the Abyss that a lot of Master Duel players might be familiar with. This unlocks a whole new world of strategies for this deck, essentially allowing you to play Kieran Control in like the most grindy of matchups, which is honestly super appealing.
Really helps. It's basically Fire King Island all by itself, and looks like we're going to go ahead and grab Ponix after destroying that Arvada.
Yep, and then Ponix is going to go ahead and grab out the Sanctuary most likely. And then actually activate the real Fire King Island and get another search potentially.
Just shows you how reliable this deck has been. Certainly Fire King, a very historic deck ever since it came out originally, but the new cards it's received over time definitely helped it out. But Volcanics has really pushed it over the edge. You're absolutely right. Being able to play Kieran Control has just been so different from previous builds. It's showing it really has a lot of power, and you're right. Here comes Fire King Island.
Speaking of which, I think the card you want to get access to here could be that Kieran, could be the High King Garunix.
We are going to destroy Courtier Volcanics, so cycling through the deck again. Get a little deck profile there for maybe some Fire King aspirational duelists at home.
There we see the High King.
Yep. Do you have any Yes. The next one.
So there we go. We're going to have the effects of Volcanics in the graveyard, it looks like. As Chainlink 1, and then the effect of High King to summon itself.
Yeah.
Chainlink 2.
Oh, yeah. From the deck.
Yep, so now we're going to be destroying from the deck. This could give us access to the Kieran that we've been talking about. Oh no, the Sacred High King Garunix comes out, of course.
Both Garunix boys have made it to the field. But wait, there's more. Let's see who we grab next here.
There's the Kieran.
Very powerful there.
Back to destroy.
Now, Arvada is probably going to be the most difficult part about this board because just having that additional monster negate could really shut Floowandereeze down. We saw how powerful it was just to drop infinite permanence.
And now that we're done with all the Fire King cards, let's move into the Snake Eyes part of this deck by using that original Central Spoils, sending Sacred King Garunix.
I remember a day and age where people were like, what fire attribute? There's no fire attribute in Yu-Gi-Oh! No, there certainly is now. 2024 has definitely been the year of fire.
What pyro monsters? Volcanics? Nah, we got Snake Eyes now.
Don't you mean Impachi? But Yu-Gi-Oh! Grandpa jokes aside, it looks like we're going to go ahead and grab Snake Eyes Poplar and special summon to the field with its own effects. And doesn't seem like we're grabbing anything else here, so that may be the limit of the Snake Eyes impact on the deck, but that's enough, just getting extra bodies on the field.
Oh yeah, being able to link climb and go into your powerful link plays like Prometheus, Salantis, or even Amblewell are super powerful.
Right now we're just going for IP Masquerena, and so we are going to place the Poplar in the Spell and Trap Zone via its own effect, and Snake Eye Ash is going to grab that to grab, I would imagine Snake Eye Oak at this point, but it could be Snake Eye Flambird Dragon. Let's see how he plays.
Yeah, sometimes you want to put the Oak in rotation now just to have all the names, but just getting Flambird immediately could be all he really needs here because, I mean, at this point, it's just about counting for damage, right? All we need is 8,000, and we can probably go for game now.
Certainly is. I don't imagine too many cards from the hand like Battle Fate are being used in this format, although this may have been the perfect situation for it.
Yeah, so right now I think we have north of 7,000 damage, right?
Looks like it's so 800.
Arvada is 18, 17?
Yeah, I believe it's 1,800. Yeah. And then 3,000 from the Flambird.
That's 26.
That should be enough.
If that's 36 with the Garunix, because it increased its attack points when it got summoned. And then 3,000. That's game.
And that is the game.
Yeah,
Giving him all the energy he needs to get this going. Let's see. drawing that 5th card magic. Let's see what it does. Oh, and there is the Perulia on draw phase from Lewis. That was the big thing we were afraid of on behalf of Alexander. Let's see if he has a game plan for confronting this powerful jellyfish.
Flashes a little peace sign over to the fans in the audience there, and then begins his main phase with another pot of extravagance here.
You're like, you know what, Lewis, if you're going to draw some cards, I want to draw some cards first, too, just to see if we can balance out the advantage.
Going to take those 6 off the top to draw 2.
I think the minimal amount of summons to get to M-Pen is going to be 3, so giving Lewis 3 more draws here is a little scary if you're Alexander, because this deck has such powerful combos when it has all the engine it needs. That's why cards like Perulia are so useful in a deck like this. All you got to do is draw more names, more cards, and you can break through almost anything. There we see Pot of Duality, a very interesting tech for a slower archetype, kind of, like Floowandereeze, one that doesn't care about special summons at all, is perfectly fine. There we see Terraforming. That could be a good grab here for the field spell.
Might be the path to the magnificent map. The dimension shift just a little too late now that the graveyard is filled up with cards, although you could use Floowandereeze and Stree to go ahead and pick that out, but that'd be a little bit of a difficult set of plays just to get a dimension shifter off.
That could be what Alex is maybe contemplating. He's like, maybe I can't go for my mega awesome play of tribute summoning a bunch of really big monsters, but I can probably still get the shifter online, buy myself 1 turn of no Perulia, and then go from there. But we're just going to grab a second duality with Duality.
They're playing the long game, thinking I definitely can survive for a while, so let's go ahead and shuffle the cards back in the deck there from Pot of Duality's effect. But it looks like he's going back in.
With triple Tactics Thrust, I believe this will be the effect just to
It should be setting, because there's no monster on the field, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
It looks like he went ahead and set Floowandereeze in the Dreaming Town.
That will allow him to normal summon on his opponent's turn, which can also kind of pseudo-play around Perulia a little bit.
That is true. He technically could just wait to make his plays until next turn.
Yeah, so
and that's what he's going to do. Okay.
Yeah, he basically just made Lewis go -1. He's going to take his sweet time. He's not in any rush. He has way more cards. So hopefully interact with Lewis's board than he did in game 1. Hopefully they're enough to buy him the turn he needs to actually pop off.
Well, I think the other worry, too, is with the Molcharmi Perulia, you don't want to draw another infinite permanence. We saw how painful that was last time.
Yeah.
But Lewis has drawn for turn. Your card counting, he's got the 5 cards since he discarded the Perulia, so you're right, -1. But here's some plus. Let's start with Arvada just to see if we can't negate some effects here in case he tries to end up normal summoning on Lewis's turn.
Ooh, the hard draw of Sanctuary is actually really big here because he now has that Arvada to destroy and search, which can give him some more value later in the match.
All right, so we're grabbing the Fire King Island with the Fire King Sanctuary.
There's Island. So far, we're not doing anything too scary on Alex's side. I definitely don't think he needs to interact at this point.
The Island is going to destroy. Looks like, oh wow, we are getting rid of the Flamberge Dragon a little early here in the combo, but anything goes, especially when your opponent doesn't have a monster on the board.
So yeah, we have the Arvada and the Flamberge and the Sanctuary. All cards you would normally search in the Fire King archetype, not really necessarily any of your starters, but we do get access to Garunix here, going to be summoning that card to the field. By destroying a card from deck, I imagine.
Back in the deck, let's see what we grab. Last time it was Kieran, but this time...
Could be Volcanics, maybe.
True. Courtier Volcanics would be a good hit right now. And it seems like he's considering several options. He's just not sure. You still don't want to make a mistake, right? Even if you're up game 1, this is going to be a long tournament, so he destroys the legendary Fire King Ponix.
Yeah, probably just wants to start cycling that the best he can, maybe get access to it during the standby phase when it comes back, because he's recognizing that this game is going to be grindy. Is that an OSS in hand? Does he have literally all the classic one-ups in this engine?
It seems like it. Strong duelists draw strong cards.
I definitely see another bit of non-engine and effect veiler there.
He's considering...
Yeah, it was OSS. Look at that. And he's going to be destroying the Sanctuary to get this online. Sorry, sending the Sanctuary.
They've got a lot of value out of that, not worried about anything happening to his Fire King Island. And certainly the Fire King Island is vulnerable, but we're seeing most of the time it's vanished or something strange happens to it where Fire King Sanctuary won't be able to protect it. But that means we got the Snake Eyes Ash here, so Ash to Poplar, I would imagine. And pace continues pretty fast here as Alexander just has to sit and watch.
That's right. I think maybe we can go for something like a Promethean Princess line to get access to that Flamberge again and just get it back in rotation now that we have our Snake Eye names in play. But that could open him up to getting Floowandereeze during his turn, so he might want to be as careful as he can approaching the potential interactions that Alex has.
Alex considering maybe now is the time. Taking a quick look at the graveyard, the cards we've seen so far.
Yeah, because if I'm Lewis, I go straight for the Link 3 play, but I've been known to jump the gun before in my combos, so maybe these players are going to play more patiently than I would.
Now, there's no one right road to victory, but Lewis is considering his options here. It looks like we are going to go ahead and link off. Imagine relinquished Anima since it was just the one.
Yeah, and this puts it back in the spell and trap zone, so that way he can still have the resource on board and not really go minus at all. Ooh, he's
replace
interested with
Flame
Flambird.
Bird. Ah, that's why, because now the Flambird Dragon is sent to the graveyard with 2 level 1s in the graveyard. With it, it can activate its effect, cause more bodies.
That's a very heads-up play in interaction from Lewis. Very awesome to see. That's like the really cool thing about the Snake Eyes deck and why players still gravitate towards it at the higher levels of play, because there's just so many fun ways that these cards can just bop around the deck, the field, and the graveyard at all points during the match.
Yeah,
Take a look again at the graveyard. Wonder if he's sitting on a Floowandereeze and Stree.
Yeah, that could be a really powerful target and banish there.
Seems like Alexander definitely wants to jump in the duel, but just trying to figure out the right time.
Like, sometimes you want to wait for your opponent to commit a bit more resources. That way you can, like, really punish them with your powerful interactions and basically get a pseudo, like, 1 for 3 because they're using 3 cards to summon this one. You get rid of it, all that fun stuff. But sometimes it could be too late, depending on how far they actually get to keep going and just the resources they have in rotation. But here we see the Promethean Princess, like I envisioned earlier in the turn, bringing back that Flambird Dragon from the graveyard.
The longer Alexander waits, I hate to say the worse it gets, right? Because more and more monsters are in the field, but also important, more and more monsters are hitting the graveyard. That Promethean Princess could cause issues later.
And similarly to game 1, we currently have enough damage, so if Lewis just goes enter battle phase, he could force Alex's hand and basically make him interact with the board.
Well, I'm no bird scientist, but I feel like Alexander will need to jump in at some point. I just wonder what those face-down cards are. There's a lot of great face-down Floowandereeze cards that could be used right now, but, well, he just hasn't chose to do anything. But here's the first one.
Use effect. Search for.
And it looks like we're going for Swallow's Corny. Or Cowrie, excuse me. Cowrie.
Yes.
Anything on resolution? No, you didn't.
This will allow him to basically search for a winged beast monster, it looks like.
So he's grabbed his Floowandereeze and Empen.
Oh, man.
Oh, but that's the handshake. He just